It's the Vibe with Tanya, Rad, and EJ, and I am so excited for my guest that I have right now. His name is Ben Higgins. Ben Higgins, welcome to the Vibe.
Hey, Tanya.
Okay, so for those of you that are listening that might not know who Ben Higgins is, so he's a fellow podcaster. You have a podcast called Almost Famous. You are now a author because you have written a book called Alone in Plain Sight, which we will talk about later as well. And then I think the majority of the audience knows you as the Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
You are now engaged to the beautiful Jess Clark, whom I've met and love so much. So you just have so much going on for you right now. And I'm just so happy to have you on the show.
Well, you're awesome. I'd talk to you anytime I can. I've told you that, and you're just a gift to everybody. But I am engaged to a woman who makes me a lot better of a man, which makes my life a lot better.
Honestly, I love hearing you say that because there's just something so beautiful about partnership and love and a true teammate and partner in life. And I think that we've talked about it so much, you and I just personally, but I think that having a strong partner along your side to do life with can really propel you into levels that you didn't even know existed.
I think for me, my prayer since I was a little kid was always like, I never quite understood the concept of marriage or partnership without it enhancing something. And until I met Jess and until I really started to like dive deep into like my heart and the things that like I needed to do better, I didn't know if I could ever find that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think for me, I look at partnership right now, especially as something that like I say it with so much peace because I just know it makes me a better person. It makes life more enjoyable. It makes the small things more meaningful. And now I've met somebody who I can do life with and do it well. And so, yeah, I'm pumped. I don't know. I'm love struck. Just a happy guy.
Love struck. So I want to dive in and talk about your podcast, Almost Famous, because it crushes, by the way.
It tries really hard. Yeah.
No, it doesn't try really hard. You guys are crushing it. And so for everybody that's listening, who should be listening to Almost Famous and what do you guys discuss on the podcast?
You know, I think we've evolved over the years. So we are a Bachelor focused podcast. I think one of the cool things that Almost Famous does that we really enjoy is we do more in-depth episodes. So we really focus on getting to know the contestants that have been on the show, not for, maybe what you expect them to be, but to hear their life story. And I think if I summarize Almost Famous, it is a podcast focused on trying to tell a meaningful story from a show that at times doesn't feel real, because it is. But yeah, this is we've done it 3.5 years now. And with Ashley.
The thing that's really cool is that you guys can actually give because you were on The Bachelorette, you were the Bachelor. Ashley, I was on, the Bachelor and Paradise and all the things. So it's like you guys can actually really give, back end information that people listening or watching the show may not know because you guys lived through it.
Yeah. We try to pull our experience to make the show make more sense. And Bachelor Nation is super supportive, and it is a podcast group that has been. We've grown over the years, which is wild to me, and I think it's because Bachelor Nation continues to get bigger and bigger, and there's a lot of people out there that love the show and that love, and they want to hear, two people who have failed at love and then found love talk about it.
Are you guys so pumped for this next season of The Bachelorette? Because I think everybody, just even as like a viewer of the show, I'm so excited for this season because I just think it's going to be something. It's filmed during a pandemic. Like it's literally going to be something we've never seen before.
We're super pumped. Our off seasons are tough. You know this in radio. Like when there's nothing to talk about, like your focus of the podcast is The Bachelor, and The Bachelor hasn't been around for a bit. It's hard to talk. So our off season's been long, and now we finally get something back. And we not only get something back, we get a season that I think promises to be interesting, intriguing. Viewership is up for a lot of, cable TV right now. And I think it's only going to continue for The Bachelor because what else are we going to do? We got to watch it.
Do you have any like inside information of this season at all? Do you know anything?
Well, I thought I did. So Tanya, it's been a weird week because I thought I knew at least that Tayshia was going to be a bachelorette as well. I thought it was going to be Claire's season and Tayshia was going to come in. I just expected that to be truth because it was everywhere. And then Chris Harrison came out and made a quote with People Magazine and said, "Hey, this is 100% Claire's season from start to finish. It's her story," which you do radio. I am an amateur podcaster, and like I know that when you speak, especially when you're a host of a show, like there has to be some intention behind it and there's some strategy behind it. I can't read through the lines there. So I don't know. I really don't know if I know anything.
That is it. Chris Harrison throwing us for a loop-de-loop there.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I mean, I'm excited no matter what. I was really hoping we'd see both because I think we have Claire and the storyline of her being, 39 and looking for love and excited about it. And she's a really, confident woman who will speak her mind. You have Tayshia coming in who has all of these amazing qualities and that I just spoke of with Claire, but she's Black and she'll represent kind of this whole new wave of Bachelor contestants that, the Bachelor family is supporting and bringing up through. And now I don't know what we get. Maybe we just get Claire and we'll see.
Oh, it's going to be, I literally cannot wait. Like truly. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for hanging out. I literally, you make every room better with your presence.
Say the same right back to you.
No, it's so funny because I mean, we've known each other now for how many, like 5 years maybe?
Yeah.
And you're just somebody that, we don't necessarily, you don't live in Los Angeles, so I don't see you very often. I used to see you more because you would come in when we all went to work and worked in a studio. Yeah. I used to see you more often, but I just feel like there's this underlying like love that we share in terms of just friendship and just championing each other from afar. Like I really just love the man that you are. And I think that you have such a wonderful heart and a heart for people. And that's a reason why I wanted to have you on the show, because I want you to talk about this book that you're doing, because people always think, you're from The Bachelor and you have this book, it's going to be a Bachelor tell all, but that's not what your book is about at all.
No, it's not. It's interesting, Tanya, just real quick, I want to give a little backstory. So when iHeart first signed me on to do this podcast, I was just kind of coming off of a breakup. The world was spinning around me really quickly. I didn't understand entertainment. I'd flown out to Los Angeles, walked into iHeart Studios, which if you're just the first time, it's a little intimidating. Like to walk into the building and it's exactly. That's a good point to the story. So I'm intimidated walking into Ryan Seacrest's recording studio, super nervous about it. And all of a sudden you're standing there and you welcome, Ashley and I talked about it just the other day, like you welcomed us in with like this like joy and the spirit and the smile that made me feel like, okay, I'm okay. Like I can do this. Like I'm not completely pushed out away here. Nobody's going to frown on it. So with that, there's a point I told that story. You were an incredible encourager to me and why I sit here probably still today. Mm-hmm. And this book isn't a tell-all. So it's a story of my life, but also mixed in with the stories of people I respect and care about. So like we have stories from friends of mine who have now passed away, and their stories of dealing with, illness, terminal illness. And then we have stories of people that have been put in isolation for years at a time, not by choice, but by their life circumstances. We have stories of paralysis. We have stories of my own about addiction and about mistreatment of others. And then there's a whole section on this book about relationships and connecting in romantic relationships. And I thought, hey, this is a big topic. Who do I want to have be a part of it? And Tanya, I called you. And so there's a whole chapter in this about you and your wisdom and your insight and your life experience. And I'm eternally grateful for that, because it made the chapter in this book come together in a way that never would have without you. And I think that's what the book is. It's not a tell-all. It's a story that hopefully makes others feel less alone.
I'm so honored to be a part of, because also I think that there is this weird negative connotation with the word single. And I think when you say that word in a room, people kind of look at you like, oh, like, why are you single? Have you not found anybody? Are you not trying? And I think that we kind of need to really step away from that, because I think for me, I'm not single currently, but I was single for a very, very long time, like almost a decade. And I learned so much about myself and boundaries that I had for myself, and lived a different way where I now know that I am going to be like the best life partner ever, because I was able to be single and discover a lot about myself in that time period. So I really enjoyed talking about that perspective, because I think, it just kind of has this like negative, it's like almost like single equals sad. And I think that's not the case at all.
You said some beautiful things in that chapter about singleness and how society sometimes treats singleness as a disease, and how it's, it should never be viewed that way, that it's actually a really like respectable and uplifting place to be in life if you find yourself in that season. And
And like, I know, like, the desire of my heart is marriage
Yeah.
and family. Like, and the thing is I rest very, very assured that that will happen for me at the right time. And so it was kind of like leaning into the single time, being like, there are some things I need to learn right now. And so I just was leaning into it.
Yeah. And honestly, when that chapter came up, you came to mind right away, because I wanted somebody that could speak into singleness in an uplifting, true, authentic way, to not make it sound like something you need to fix, but something that you just need to recognize and know that you are single, and that is good, and that is okay. And yes, you might not want that forever, but it's good right now, and you don't want to miss out on this time in life. And your name came to mind, and it was awesome. Like, let me tell you, that chapter turned out great. That interview was incredible. Some of the quotes that I just read through it yesterday, and some of the quotes that you came up with during that conversation, I don't know if you've just been sitting on them for a while, but they're fantastic.
I don't know if you've been sitting on those nuggets.
Yeah, I think you like explained, what was it? You explained singleness and like desserts or something. Like, one's a slower process to make, the other one's quicker and more like
like a souffle,
Yeah, I was like, what in the world? It's great. It made the book, but I had no clue where you came up with it.
Okay, so for everybody listening that wants to get the book, where can they get it? When can they get it? Give us all the information.
Well, if anybody's out there listening and has any desire to read this, and I really want to say, the book is called Alone in Plain Sight, and it's about feeling less alone, knowing that your life is one that's not in isolation, that in fact your pains and your sorrows and your difficulties actually connect you to the world in ways that you maybe never could have seen. And I want that to be the message of the book. If that is something that sounds attracted to you, go to benhigginsbook.com and pre-order it. Why? Because that makes the publisher really happy, and it makes me feel a little more confident.
Pre-ordering the book. You know what? That actually reminds me. I'm going to put a reminder after this interview that I'm going to go pre-order it.
Yeah, that would mean a lot. And it comes out February 2nd, actually physically. And so if you don't pre-order it, then you can go get it then. But I like it when people pre-order.
Literally put a note in my calendar right now as we speak.
It's the best.
Of course. Are you kidding? I say this with all the sincerity in the world. I truly just love the person that you are, happy to support. But before you go, we have to talk love and wedding planning. Like, have you guys, we're in a pandemic, and so this makes me happy just to talk about the fact that people are still having babies and getting engaged and getting married, and there are still good things happening, even though there's far, far, far more terrible things happening. There are still a lot of really good things happening. So give us the goods.
Yeah, I feel like there's more babies being done than weddings right now.
Correct.
I think COVID's a good time to cuddle up tight. But so yeah, Jess and I got engaged March 27th. I was supposed to propose to her in New York. That was the plan. We had a flash mob planned. We had all these big things planned. And she had no clue. And unfortunately, COVID hit, and we went to Franklin, Tennessee, and we did it in her backyard, which is actually really beautiful because her whole family was able to be there. They were all living under one roof at the time. And now we started planning for a wedding. And initially, it was like, let's get married end of this year of 2020. Oh. And then it started to stress us out. The more and more we started planning for it and calling around, it was like, this just doesn't feel right. It feels stressful, and I don't want it to feel stressful. And so then we said, you know what? Who cares if we're engaged for 2 years or a year and a half? We're going to get married in November of 2021, and we're going to do it well, and we're going to make it right, and we're going to have fun with it, and it's going to be peaceful and relaxing, and we're going to do the best we can with what we've been given. and it's been the best decision I think we could have made.
I know, honestly, that's a great
Yeah.
idea, because I think a lot of people that are trying to plan like alongside the pandemic, it's almost like you kind of have to surrender to the pandemic. Like this is what it is, and just kind of move things along. Because if you're trying to like plan, being like, well, we might be out of this, or, you know, quarantine might be over by then, it's like, you don't know. And then that's so much stress and anxiety.
It is. And we don't want that for our engagement time. Like being like engaged is a blast. It's a blast for me. It's a blast for her. She gets to show off her ring. I get to show off Jess, and it's awesome. And I don't want to ruin it with like, hey, let's hurry up and get this done. It's like, no, let's just, the wedding's going to be great. I'd marry tomorrow. And if life comes to that will be awesome. But I also want the wedding to be something to be celebrated, and not to have like a kind of a dark cloud sitting over it.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
So 2021, November 2021.
That's great. It just sounds good. November 2021. Feels like a good time. Yeah, it fits for us. Okay, Ben, thank you so much for taking the time. We love you. We love you. We love you. Everybody, you can check out Ben's podcast, Almost Famous. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can follow Ben Higgins on Instagram it's not at Ben Higgins. What is it?
Higgins.Ben.
Higgins.Ben. And then you can check out his book. You have the link to your book in your Instagram profile, right?
Yeah. It's benhigginsbook.com, or you can go there and find it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks, Tanya.